We live at the Imperial, ladies and gentlemen. Good. Lighting good.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me, man. All right. First things first. Oh. I'm probably going to cut this out.
It's fine.
All right. Social therapy. All right. Dude, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah,
so
me
much.
too.
You have
Absolutely.
no idea.
Like I knew I was a guest star with Chris's podcast, but
All right, so most people don't know that you were able to come on Chris's show because I had to get him to vet the second half, and we haven't okayed it quite yet. So
gotcha.
It hasn't aired.
He did mention that.
He hasn't quite given me the
So
go
nice.
on that one.
So it's the Andy show
This
now.
is the Andy show now. So, all right, Andy Corder, ladies and gentlemen, local watering hole expert and manager here at the Imperial.
Manager at Imperial. Yeah, guys, y'all come down to 245 College Avenue, Imperial Lounge Grill, right next to West Elberton Package.
The fact that you plugged that so well, dude. Man, you're so good at that. That is beautiful. All right, so tell me how Cuba was.
Dude.
Welcome back, by the way.
Yeah, I just got back from Cuba Sunday morning, actually. So we actually drove to Miami to fly out. So when you hang out with my friends, we do really unnecessary things, and driving to Miami was one of those unnecessary things. We could have just flown out from Atlanta, but we saved like $500 a piece for like 6 people. So I mean, that's like $3,000 that we saved.
Tickets are expensive, dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there's no direct flights to Cuba from Atlanta. You can only fly direct to Cuba from Miami or Fort Worth, Texas. That's the only 2 places you can fly direct to Cuba now.
So, all right, for the people that don't know, because I've heard the story, how do you get into a place like Cuba? Because most of the time it's not...
So Cuba, so like when we go to Mexico to see Myra's family, you just show your passports, and then bam, you're done. Like, oh, you're an American.
Come on in.
Come on in. When you get back, show your passport, come on back. In Cuba, you have to fill out a visa form at the airport in Miami. So it's a form that says why you're going, what's your purpose, your nationality. Like there's so much information that you have to put on this form. So it's like Cuba's own personal visa that you have to get into their country. And it's kind of for the U.S. too, just to say that you're not there for tourism. You're there for support of the Cuban people, or you're there for journalism, or you're there for any other thing besides tourism.
You can't just take a leisurely trip to Cuba.
You cannot.
That's very interesting.
Yep.
That's new information.
So when Trump issued the embargo back on Cuba, all tourism from the United States stopped. There's no more cruises. There's no more direct flights from any airport that you want to go. So there's only 2 places you can fly to Cuba. Like I said, Miami, Fort Worth, Texas. And it's unfortunate because Cuba is such an awesome place.
I was about to say.
Despite the communist government.
Right. Minus that one major detail.
Which, I find funny as to why we don't issue trade or tourism to that country, because with China or Laos or Vietnam, you can fly there whenever you want to. We also have trade with them. They're in the United Nations with us.
Is it proximity?
I think it's just because it's a narrow neck of the woods.
Yeah.
We wanted to drown out communism on this side of the world.
Yeah, I could.
And I think it's an ego thing.
Yes, I agree, and I also spheres of influence. Like they just like I don't want to try to get political real quick. Like, I don't want to dive off into it.
Right off the bat, let's go.
But just like Russia and Ukraine, the proximity of our being or the UN's presence or whatever the case may be, it's a similar mindset. I think from a world's mind, like global politic perspective,
Right?
Influence and power and stuff like that. But I do hate it because I'm sure, dude. And when I went to Belize, that's the only reference I have for outside the country. It's
Right.
the only place I've ever been. Me and my wife went there for our honeymoon. And it was like...
Why Belize for your honeymoon?
All right.
That is a random place to go for your honeymoon.
I have always wanted to go to Belize, because of the Blue Hole. I'm a nature...
Gotcha.
All right, so
okay.
I'm a huge nature guy.
So it's an agriculture thing.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I wanted to go do the jungles. I wanted to go see, like, completely untouched from what I could find.
That's awesome.
Land.
That's really cool.
Surprisingly, one of my last projects that I did in college, because I did go to college, believe it or not, and I graduated.
I did too, even though I'm a bartender.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of Elberton story sometimes. But I'm happy, and I'll leave it there. But environmental science is what I got a degree in. And one of my final projects was actually a jaguar reserve in Belize. And then when I got married and went to Belize, I went to the place that I wrote that project about and went up a mountain. So I actually went to the jaguar preserve that I wrote about. So it was really interesting. I got to meet a tour guide guy that he and I really hit it off.
Yeah.
Like he was about my age,
Yeah.
and I wish I stayed in touch with him. He gave me his email at one point in time, but
Have y'all been back ever since? How y'all?
we're going to go, man. If I ain't gonna lie to, if I had the money, it'd probably be the one country I'd try to buy property in.
That's really cool.
If it weren't for the bugs,
If we're-
dude, the one thing is you better have mosquito spray when you go down there, especially if you go in the like peak season for
Right.
stuff like that. It is rough.
Wow.
Because it's untamed. Like
Right.
it's completely wild out there. But we took the whole, and I'll hijack our podcast about my little Belize trip. But we ended up traveling in and staying a week. But what I was getting at is they were the most humble. They had nothing, like barely running water. The school was a mile up the road from the resort, and the resort we stayed at was a 5-star, beautiful place, great food, all the 400 yards down the beach.
Wow.
There was a shantytown, and it was a community of like hundreds of people
Right.
on stilt housing, no running water, barely any heat. Had some of the kids had formal clothes that they wore to school. They had dresses and outfits.
Okay.
So I guess they had some things, but no public transportation, and the happiest people I have ever met in my life.
Wow.
Like completely happy with everything that they had. I don't know what it is. Maybe that them having so little made them so appreciative for what they
Right.
did have.
It humbles you. Into
And I was gonna say Cuba. How was like the locals there?
Cuban people are they're so self-sustaining just because of the communist government is it's overbearing. Their monthly salary is like $138 a month in U.S. dollars.
Yeah, USD. Baby.
That's from Tony Mills. He calls them U.S. Americans.
Shout out Tony Mills. He'll appreciate that.
But so we got a lot of perspective from taxi drivers. So we talked to our taxi drivers that we had to take a taxi everywhere we went. If we went to Veradero, to Vinales, Vinales to Havana, back to everywhere we went, and like the perspectives vary. It's all kind of the same. Some people are just indifferent, like this is just the way it is, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Some people are like, they're kind of upset with themselves because they almost make as much as like a person like higher up in standard than they are, like an engineer or something, because the wealth is distributed evenly.
No matter the
And
job.
it creates a lack of incentive to do better in like any kind of occupation. There was an instance where Venezuela was asking for Cuban doctors to come down there and help with their thing, and I forgot what it was, they imported something to Cuba in exchange for the doctors.
Yeah.
But either the Cuban doctors didn't want to go down there because they're not getting paid anything,
So
or once they got down there, they defected. So like
they used it as an escape route.
they used it as an escape route to get out of the country, because the doctors don't make any money.
So it's literally almost everything is a labor of love. Like
Right.
if you give
if
about
the doctors in Cuba, they do it because they love it. And it's not for the money. There's no money to be made. They do it because that's their passion.
Wow.
And it's just unfortunate that, that's the way it is.
I wonder prospectively, like, you only end up, I wonder, and I don't want to offend anybody when I say this, but I wonder if, because of the amount of care that they genuinely want to do things like that, like here in American society, we have folks that will chase money, that just want to do things for the
Right.
profit margin that they can make throughout their life, and it might not be specifically, even I attempted that in my first, few years of college. I picked things that I thought would make me a lot of money.
Right.
And then when I started studying them, I was like, I hate this.
Right.
I hate everything about this, and I don't want to do this for
And
the
you
rest of my life.
discover your passions, as you go along.
Yeah.
I studied to be a mechanical engineer. you know, you make good money. But I enjoy people. A lot of people would disagree. Like, why is your face always like that? It's like, it's just my face.
You got RBF, bro?
I have RBF, man. But I actually enjoy bartending. I enjoy hearing the stories of people around here. I have a lot of people that come in here and just vent to me about their struggles in life. You know, I don't know how much I help them, but I hope I can make a difference in their life by just being like, you know, you can always talk to me. It's okay.
Being just an ear. Like,
Right.
And again, that's almost like a bartender trope.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so important in the society we live in because it's been a staple for...
I am your free therapist that serves you alcohol.
Exactly. Like, Western days, you sit across the bar with your 6-shooter and shoot shots and ask the bartender what the news was.
Right.
You know?
There you go.
Always been the same. But that's pretty cool, man. What's the wild... All right, before we break away, because I want to ask you about bartending, but Cuba, I really want to ask you a few things about it.
Absolutely.
What was your favorite place in Cuba?
Veradero. I have never been to the Caribbean before, so this is my first time in the Caribbean. The water there, it literally, I was in awe the whole time I was in there because the water there is so clear and beautiful. Like, I posted so many pictures of that water. It's just amazing, like how that water is, and like the beach, the sand. There's no trash anywhere. It's just clear and clean.
Is it a well-kept place?
Yeah. So like, I noticed. I got up early one morning. I forgot why. I think it was to make coffee for everybody, or do something for somebody. Help out the housekeeper. And I noticed there was a tractor coming down the beach with a giant trailer on the back, and it was just like 5 guys just picking up trash off the beach.
Stuff that had washed up.
Right. And they don't really get paid for that. They do it because they want to keep their country clean. And like I was really impressed with that. And the streets there's no trash anywhere. It's just such a clean place. I was actually very surprised. Havana, not so much. Havana was kind of...
Is that a bigger...
Havana's the capital.
Okay.
Very big city, people everywhere, but Atlanta is dirtier than Havana. Atlanta, Georgia is a lot dirtier than Havana. Havana was so beautiful and clean.
I'm not going to say any names, but I heard that
the infrastructure was awful. Like, you can't stand in certain places on the sidewalks or a brick might crack your skull.
Oh, nice.
So, because Myra stood in one place and one of the locals was like, hey, you got to move, like look up. And there was like a balcony like being held up by like a couple 2x4s. So,
be aware of your surroundings.
Be aware of your surroundings.
How about that?
And the people we went with, Dustin and Suzanne, they mentioned that when we got down there, but I just didn't really think about it because the place that we were staying was like, it was very nice in Havana. But like, once you get walking down the streets a little bit, you'll notice like the balconies are just like held up by sticks.
That's good. So no building code enforcers.
No,
folks
there's
walking around
nothing
being
like
y'all
that.
gotta fix this.
So like, you know, you would think with if a communist government would actually work, like if the wealth was distributed, like all those taxes would go back into like infrastructure and stuff. It doesn't. The roads are okay.
Is it pocketed by the wealthy? I know you don't know.
I really don't know. I'm not familiar with like
what's happening in Cuba.
I really don't know like what the celebrity status is down there. Who holds that money? Like, I don't really know much about their government there. I just know even though the wealth, you know, the people of Cuba get like a monthly salary, or like a little card for like grocery shopping, like their monthly ration card.
Did you get to see how much was on these rations? Like,
I don't know how much it is. Like, they get a ration. They get like, you know, you go to the grocery store and you get like a ration, like how much you get per week or month. I'm not sure what it was, but it was like eggs, milk, bread, you know, just the simple stuff, the necessities that you needed for your home.
And that's it.
And that's it. That's it. You don't get any more. So like if you go through that, that's it. You don't get no more. And the same thing with like fuel for your car. It's like you get.
Oh, they ration fuel as well.
They ration fuel. So like you only get 1 or 2 days a week where you're allowed to go get fuel. So like you have to pick that day, and you got to go wait in lines like 2 to 6 hours to get fuel. So like it's an all day thing.
So we just don't appreciate the things that
No,
we have.
I can leave right now, go get some gas, and come right back.
No big
It
deal.
doesn't matter. I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But like theirs is like theirs
daily
is like
task.
a weekly thing. Theirs is like planned out on when they can get gas. And like I couldn't imagine, man. I would lose my mind sitting in line for 6 hours for some gas.
I wonder if like the jobs you can do, they get choice in jobs that they do, or somebody like, nah, we need
I don't
taxi
know.
drivers here.
I didn't ask that.
I
I
was
didn't
wondering.
ask that question. That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, when
I
you
don't-
go back, you can be like, hey,
I would love to go back.
I would have to
I
imagine.
love like everybody down there was so nice. They were like, yeah, we love America, man. Like we miss you guys. Like when the embargo was lifted, we saw y'all all the time, and y'all were so nice, and y'all were welcoming. Y'all were like, made us want to come to your country, and then we just don't see y'all anymore because the embargo was put back in place. So like, I think one of our Airbnbs, he was like, yeah, I haven't seen Americans in a few months. Like maybe every couple months, American
a
couple.
random American comes
Right.
over, Wow.
But the majority of people that I saw down there was like Canadians or Spaniards or Germans. Saw one Russian couple, but
That's a trip.
Yeah, the Canadians thought my accent was Australian because they've never heard a Southern accent before.
Really?
So we were sitting at a restaurant, and the guy behind me, he like tapped me on the shoulder. He was like, "Hey, where you guys from? Are y'all from Australia? I never heard that accent before. It sounds Australian." I'm like, "Dude, I'm from the South."
I'm from the South. Yeah, I'm
Dude, I
Georgia.
was like, "I'm from Georgia." I was like, "Not the Republic of Georgia, the state of
yeah.
Georgia, United States." Like, I'm from the dirty South.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I've never heard a Southern accent before. I've never been to the States."
How about that? People, even in America, like when we would go, I don't know, out west in Texas and stuff like that, you still hear Southern because that's Texas, but it's a completely different style of
Oh yeah,
Southern drawl.
They have
or-
a twang.
Yes.
we have a drawl.
Yes, very good. That's actually the best description of the two.
Right.
They have a twang and we have a drawl.
They have a twang, we have a drawl. Same people like South Carolina. They have a twang, we
Yes.
have a drawl.
That's very good. That's very well put.
We all sound like country music singers here.
My grandmother says we sound like cornbread. You sound like cornbread. That's just the way it is. Was there a singular experience that you had in Cuba that you will like? This was a highlight. This was
So the
something-
first time I ever ridden a horse in my entire life, I've always been terrified of horses because they're just like a giant animal, and I don't
Yeah.
want to get on the back of them because I don't know what they're going to do to me.
Yeah. It can definitely hurt you.
So the first time I ever ridden a horse in my 31 years of life was in Vinales, Cuba, and we rode up through the mountains to a sugarcane farm, honey farm, coffee farm, whatever it was. But it was a farm that did all those three things.
Yeah.
And we rode up through the mountains on those horses, and it was just awesome.
Peaceful?
Like that was so peaceful. Like there's no back noise. It's just nature. You just hear nature.
You felt. I could feel that.
Dude,
it was primitive.
I felt so much peace. Besides the sun burning my skin alive because I'm a white guy,
On the equator.
on like close to the equator, like it was just burning my skin off. It was the most peaceful thing I've ever done in my life.
That's awesome, man.
Vinales was an amazing place, and the people there are so. That was probably one of the places like you notice such self-sufficiency in people. Everybody has a garden. Everybody has chickens. Everybody has pigs, a horse.
Is there a real community feel?
Yeah, it's
like everybody's there for each other.
It's very communicative. Like everybody knew each other. Like I noticed that. Like yeah, I know a guy. Like you need a taxi? I'll call him up real quick. Hey, yeah, I know a guy down the road who's got the best beer in town or something like that. And it was just very. Everybody knew each other. It was kind of like the Elberton.
I was about to reference
It
that.
was
I
kind
feel
of like the Elberton of Cuba, but like 500-foot mountains around you.
Oh wait, mountains. Mountains in Cuba.
Yeah, mountains.
I've never
Mountains in
put
Cuba.
that. I've never put that together.
There's a lot of mountains in Cuba.
How about that? And y'all can call me dumb.
And they're
I
not
just
so.
don't know.
I hope I don't get this wrong. So Cuba isn't a volcanic island.
Okay.
It actually. I don't know if there's like a fault underneath of it that
Plates?
just caused caused it to come up. So there's no volcanoes on the island, but there's giant mountains on the island, and it's beautiful. Not everywhere, not in Havana or Veradero, but like once you get up to the northern part, like of Cuba, you see like
I don't want to sound too nerdy, but I wonder if that has anything to do with the Appalachian train as an extension.
It's a good question. I have no idea. but it was the weirdest. I never seen mountains like that. You usually see them. You see them like go up at an angle at a peak. These are like straight up, like foliage on the top, and it was just like straight down. It was like humps on a camel. It was it was weird looking. Like I've never seen mountains like that before. And like I've been out like in Vegas and flew over those mountains. Like they all look the same, but these are like straight up foliage on top and straight down the back.
How about that?
It was weird looking.
I'm glad you went down there, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was such a cool experience. I'm glad that our friends mentioned, they were like, hey, do y'all want to go on a trip in a couple months? And I was like, yeah, where's your favorite place to go? Like, let's go to Cuba. And I was like, okay.
Sounds good to me.
Let's go.
You gotta be spontaneous in life sometimes.
So, like, it was fun. It was fun. I haven't been out of the country since we went to go see Myra's family in Mexico in 2020. So I would like to do that more. It's fun. It's fun traveling the States, but seeing different cultures in different countries is.
I'm about that.
It's just it's different.
It gives you perspective.
It does.
It gives you
absolutely.
real perspective.
Like, you know, and like I've been to Mexico several times, and like, you know, when I was younger, my first time to Mexico, and I think I was 14 years old. That's kind of like when my perspective, like wow, I'm really proud of where I'm from. You know, I want to take these people's perspective of like being humble and appreciating what they have, and I want to bring it back with me and appreciate what I got, because I don't need money. I need friends, companionship.
The important things.
The important things, man. Life is short, and like if you're always chasing money or worrying about having more money than the next guy, you're just gonna be miserable when you die. So
I will cheers to that. That was a beautifully said thing. That was beautiful, though.
The only thing I didn't like about Cuba was they didn't have Michelob Ultra down there.
Oh.
Didn't have one American beer while I was down there. I was very sad.
But you do have access to beer.
There's like
Bukus?
there is so much variety of Cuban beer down there. It is insane. And there's a lot of Dutch beer down there. I saw one place that sold Modelo that had a Mexican beer. It's the only place that I saw like a Mexican beer being sold.
How about that?
But everything else was like Dutch or a Cuban beer. So very interesting. I probably tried 17 different kind of beers down there.
That's awesome, dude.
So, and they're all lagers. They all drink lagers.
I wonder. It would be just assuming. But
I think they had a few dark. There was one called it was like Buccaneer or something like that. It was like a dark beer. It wasn't like Guinness, but it was a darker beer. It was really good.
Speaking of Buccaneer, okay, as someone who's obviously never been to Cuba, and it being where it is in the Caribbean, was there any nautical influence? Did you see? All right, so I'm not trying to sound like I'm asking, was it like Pirates of the Caribbean down there? But was it anything of the sort? Was there a lot of nautical? Were there a lot of fishermen? Did they do a lot of fishing? Did they do?
So you rarely see boats down there because the government doesn't want you leaving.
That makes sense.
So,
it's only 90 miles to Key West.
So some of the boats that you do see are government owned. If you try to take that boat away to like get to the States and they catch you, it's like 20 years in prison.
20? Woo!
That's what they said. I don't know if they were being dramatic or not, but that's what one of the guys said.
Are we in frame? Good? Awesome. Look, this is my podcast. I can talk to who I want to. Myra's behind the camera right now, guys. Myra, thank you. Yeah!
Want a beer?
If you don't mind, I'm probably going to finish
I'll
this
take
one
one,
up pretty
thank you.
shortly.
Some old lady.
Gotta love it, man. That's awesome.
So, when you date a Latina, you're at the mercy of them.
I've never dated a Latina, but my little brother has informed me that they run the house.
They run the house.
That's what they
run the
has
house.
Been said.
If you mess up, you'll definitely be informed.
That's awesome. And you guys work together in a capacity.
We work together, and That is my best friend in the world.
That's awesome, man.
She is my best friend.
I respect that, and I feel that because my wife is the same for me. We do a lot of things. My wife and I work together as well. So, and not many people get to have that and many folks are like, "How do you do that?" Because a lot of dudes are like, "I'm trying to get away from the household for a little bit, and not have to see people that I have to deal with." And I'm like, "Nah, man, that's the other half."
Oh yeah.
You know.
So so Myra works here today, but during the week she works at Through Raina's, and we're always contacting each other on what we need to order, tax stuff, sales reports. So we're
a team.
We're always communicating. We're always a team and making sure everything is running smoothly.
Well, y'all do a damn good job, sir.
We try.
From outside in, as just a consumer of y'all's products.
Right.
I appreciate it.
So her mom started these businesses, and once I started dating Myra, I think it was 6.5 years ago. I can't remember. It's been a while.
I'm not gonna. I ain't saying nothing, bro.
I can't remember. I think our anniversary is coming up. I don't know.
This won't be. I'll edit this part out.
Take it out. I don't know when our anniversary is. Sorry. But it's once I started dating her, once I got off work, I kind of went and helped them because they were short-staffed.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it, and I was like, I want to do this with you guys. I want to do it with y'all. And one thing after another, we bought Imperial. I was like, I want to run this. I was like, give it to me. I want to do it.
How about that?
Yep. And then we bought.
I will take mine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He can edit it out or not.
Yeah, or not. Actually, I think it's more fun to leave it in because people genuinely understand we're not.
It's raw.
People,
Sorry, y'all don't get to see me.
This is the social therapy, people. It's about us all hanging out.
Right. I mean, people have nothing to do. They're sitting at home scrolling through Facebook anyway, wondering.
Or listening to this at work.
Or listening to this at work. It doesn't matter.
We're having a good time. So, and I'm glad you're here.
If you're at work, I hope you're having a great day at work.
Yeah.
Do the best that you can, or not. Who cares?
We're going to sit here and chat about it anyway. So, you and Myra working together, how long have y'all been doing, the work environment?
I've been working with them. So, when I would get off work, when I was working at Granite City Steel or Wilson Electric, as soon as I got off work at 3 o'clock, 3:30, I would go home, change out of my nice dress up clothes. I worked in the office.
Yeah.
And put on just ragged clothes, and I'll go up there and I'll help them wash dishes, clean up the restaurant or whatever. And but I was in food service actually for a long time while I was in high school. So it's just a natural thing for me. That was my first actual job. It was
where was that?
I was at the country club.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shout out
So I worked at the country club for a year and a half maybe. I was I helped with catering. I worked the restaurant in there. It was fun. I actually enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
I didn't mind. All right, so I did food service for a little while I was in college. I worked at Applebee's up in Greenwood. Not the best location. The staff I enjoyed. The consumers, the people I worked with, and I had some rough patches while I was in
you run into a lot of Elberton's worst working in a restaurant, unfortunately.
It's part of working in this industry.
Absolutely. When you work with the public, you're going to run into some
not nice people.
Not nice people. I'm not going to say anything.
Not nice people.
Not nice people.
I
They're
got
not
you,
nice.
bro.
And I don't know if it's entitlement or
it's exactly
or their standards are too high. But you just have to put that stuff behind you, and you got to focus on the 95% of people that are just awesome, and that's the ones that you put 100% into those people.
Yeah, because you're gonna have bad apples.
Right. There's bad apples everywhere, in every race, creed, religion, occupation. It doesn't matter. There's bad apples everywhere.
I knew I wasn't cut out for food service when I walked by a table, and there were two ladies there that had been there for a while. They weren't in my section, and I was having a rough day as it was at the time. And they stopped me and was like, "Are you going to take my motherfucking order?" And I just looked at them. I flipped open my book. I said, "What you want?" And she could tell I was, peeved because she got an attitude back by the way I responded. And she was like, "I want to speak to your manager." I was like, "That's fine with me." Flipped the book back over, went and got my manager. Told him if I had to go back out there, I was flipping the table. And he was like, "You stay in the kitchen for a little bit, you help him."
Yeah, I think I've only snapped at a few people before, either because they've called me a name,
Yep.
just for no reason at all, just rude, straight in the door, just rude as hell, and that's fine. You know, the amount of respect you give me, I'm gonna give it right back.
Yep.
So if you give me none, I'm gonna give you none.
Yep.
But I try to treat everybody equally. If you're a constant problem, then I'm just like, you're targeted as soon as you come in. If you're a constant problem, so I'm just like, ugh.
So you've got people.
I've got people that are regulars
on a shit list.
that are on a shit list. Unfortunately, and I'm not
No,
gonna
you
say
don't have to
say who it is.
No, it is a very small town, but there are in every facet of every industry, there are
Right.
people you got to watch out for.
But every time they come here, I will always treat them with respect and dignity until they show their colors again.
And then you're like, all right,
And
we've
then
been
I'm
here
just
before.
I'm just like, we're right back to square one.
Been here before.
All right. So, but other than that, I love working here. I love being a place where Elbertonians can go and relax and get away from small town drama.
This is a very comfortable place, sir.
Yeah,
Like I will vouch for the Imperial. I love it up here,
Yeah,
man.
it's we welcome everybody. I mean, every community, every religion, every race. It doesn't matter. You come here, I will treat you the same. I don't care.
I went on a rant the other day, and I wish I could remember it because my wife was like, "You need to say that on the podcast." But I was like, I don't care how you identify. If you identify as a squirrel or a whale or some shit like that. It's just be who you want to be, as long as it doesn't affect other people.
I'm an apricot. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. As long as it genuinely doesn't affect my life, I don't care.
No. So like, my political views. I'm pretty libertarian.
I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone.
Don't tread on me. Like don't push your religion. Don't push your ideologies on how it affects my life. If it affects me, then we got a problem. If it doesn't, I don't care.
But you're also open to conversation.
I'm open to conversation.
That is
absolutely.
something that
I'm very open-minded
So many people have a problem with
because
that.
I've changed my stances so many times. Like, oh, that does make sense. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong.
Bro, but watch out now. People gonna hear this.
Like, I'm willing to admit that I'm
You're
wrong.
human. Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't want to admit stuff like
Like
that.
a lot of people that just like, I'm set in that way. I'm not going to change it. Nothing you can say. That's ignorant. That's
Unwillingness, I guess, is the word, to at least acknowledge that there are other walks or other ways, or
right.
And I get foundation stones. Don't get me wrong. Like, I get people being very firm in certain belief systems, but if that's making you a better person, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Like, if it's what's improving your life,
Yeah. If it's what's helping you, then go.
as long as it doesn't affect me, and that backs up to me. I just do what you do, and I'll do what I do, and everybody can live their life.
Yep,
Shouldn't
absolutely.
be that hard.
It's like, I'm not a religious person at all. I do believe in God, but I don't go to church. I can't remember the last time I read the Bible, but I do believe someone out there loves me. Hopefully someone hears my prayers, but like, I'm just not a religious person, so like,
Well, the religious institution.
right.
It's
So
got a
it's,
bad
it's,
rap.
it's so divisive, and like a lot of people try to push that religion onto government, and like, that's kind of the one thing our founding fathers said we shouldn't do. It's freedom of religion.
Yes.
And like, it shouldn't be put into our government politics.
Well, that's kind
And
of why they fled the place they left from.
because I don't want to be like I don't want to be like a Muslim country where that religion dictates the people of everybody, and not everybody's going to be like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's the melting pot that we are that makes us
Right.
amazing and great. Now, is that melting pot getting literally as mixed as it possibly can be and continue to do so? Yes, and it should, because that's the trend that America is. We are going to be an experiment for the entirety of our existence.
Right.
We are a free society that is governing itself, kind of.
We're not as free as you think.
Kind of.
We're not as free as you think. Like, I think like the top 10 countries, I think we're number 8 on a couple of them, and like I think it's like freedom of the press. I think we're not even on the top 10.
Well, I could believe that because right now, and it's all right. So
I think Denmark is like number 1 on every single one of them. I think Denmark is like the most free country on the planet.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that, and I feel like they have great education systems. I feel like they have great.
So
they're killing it.
The quality of life in those countries is like, I don't know if it's like Sweden or Denmark is like the number 1 like quality of life.
I think Sweden might be.
Yes, I think Sweden is. So like, people think like, oh yeah, we're the epitome of freedom. No, we're not.
No. There was a rant, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he was on Full House. He was one of the uncles, and he was on some political show like many years later, and he went on this huge rant, and it was, you've probably seen the clip, but he's on stage. They're doing a political debate, and he's asked, what makes America the greatest country in the world, by somebody in the crowd. And then, person A answers, well, we're the greatest in the world because that's just the way it is. And then the second is like, because we have great free speech and blah, 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 blah. And then it gets to him and he's like, well, the first thing we have to do is acknowledge that we're not. And then he goes into this litany of things that we are like, the things we are number 1 in is incarcerated peoples and like the most
incarcerated country in the world.
Not good things. And that was what he harped on. And I'm not trying to say America sucks. We are, I think, the greatest experimental nation ever.
I'm going to keep going off on tangents. Our drug war has failed miserably.
Yes.
Our drug war has failed. And we have incarcerated so many people on drug charges. And these people should be released. And that should be decriminalized.
Yes.
And that's my
2 cents
That's
there.
my libertarianism coming out, so I'm going to leave that away. I'm
No,
going to put that back here.
Look, that is what it is. That's the way I feel too, is that it is not affecting other people.
Right.
It should not be a choice that you make for them.
It's the amount of people we have locked up for non-violent crimes.
Yeah.
That's just astonishing.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be locked up for that long.
Well, we could talk about the amount of tax dollars we spend keeping those people incarcerated too.
Our prison system is privatized. So money is money is so like the more people you have incarcerated, the more money they get.
So they get free labor.
Right.
What?
So it's like almost
What?
it's almost like we still have slavery.
The states don't run the prisons? Are you
It's privatized. A lot of the prisons are privatized.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I learn something new every day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's why I do this podcast. Wow. Well,
So a lot of it has to go off money. The more people you have locked up, the more money you get. The more money goes to the prisons.
the more funding you get.
The more funding you get. It's kind of like school.
I was not trying to make the overlay there, but it just so happened. That's wild.
Yeah. It's almost like we have more funding for incarceration than we do education.
I think I'm gonna use that as a clip.
Yeah, that's kind of why we fall short on the freedom list, according to I forgot which thing I read. That
Look, you're good.
We are not in the top 10 on a lot of.
That's a guarantee. And I understand the want, we're great. Like, we've been kind of, not indoctrinated with that, but kind of.
We are. America is a great country. Don't get me wrong. Every time I come back from a different country and I see that flag flying at like a Ford dealership where they got those giant poles with the huge American flag, I'm just like, I love this country.
Salute.
Like, I love this country so much. Like, I love being from here. I am proud to be an American. But if we don't continue to say what's wrong or to speak up, we will continue the status quo and we'll never improve as a country.
I agree. And I feel like we lost. All right, so this is where I get off my little political tangents.
Right.
At least in my lifetime, where I feel like the wheels got off the track was 2001, terrorist attacks, the Freedom of Information Act, the us going to war for 21 years and not having legitimate.
Well, the what was it called? The Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act,
Thank you.
where it says, we're going to make sure that you're protected
by watching
every single person in this country. And I think one on the political tests that you can take to figure out which political party you stand in, which is
fun. Those are fun.
I hate those.
Those are fun.
It's so dumb. But it's just it's okay for the government to watch everybody as long as they keep you safe. No, don't watch me. Leave me alone.
I don't need anybody.
I'm one of those paranoid people that put tape on my laptop camera because I don't want you looking at me.
You should. And I think that it was a good idea when they started putting the sliders on them to where you could literally physically cut them off.
Absolutely.
I think that was a good idea. But no, I think that we have great potential here in America. It's just the idea that we have so many societal changes going on right now.
Right. Well, that's the one thing about the United States is there is potential to become something. Like you have that potential.
Yes.
That is the one thing that we do have. It's the potential to be whatever you want to be.
Yep.
Not everybody's gonna be an astronaut. Like a lot of kids grow up and like, I want to be an astronaut. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's very like it's like becoming a NFL quarterback.
Yes.
There's 36 teams.
Yes. You got 36 shots, and that's you got to be top of a
there's
million people.
There's 350 million of us. Yeah. So I mean but as far as like entrepreneurship, we have that. You can start your own business, and you will not be hindered in any way.
You could sit here and have a podcast and talk shit, and nobody's going to come and lock you up.
Nobody's going to come and lock you up. Absolutely.
But
our mainstream medias are kind of governed by lobbyists. Like, hey, like
money.
I want you to report this. It's all about money.
Money.
I want you to report this. Don't report that. It's unfortunate. So that's kind of why we are not in the top 10 of freedom of speech as far as the press goes on that list.
Right.
But as far as the country, it's a great country.
It's a great place
to
be.
I would not want to live anywhere else.
I will agree with that. And
and I've been to other countries. It's they want to come here.
That was what I was about to say. We constantly have an immigration problem, not an exodus issue. Like we're not constantly having people leave, and you're going to be worried about that. So we must be doing something right.
We must be doing something. We're doing something right, or we're just the best country as far as convenience of getting to.
We're either doing something right, or we're the easiest place to do something wrong and get away with it,
right,
and continue to get away.
Like a lot of people were upset about the migrants coming up from like Venezuela and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's communist government. There's communist leadership taking over their governments, and like the living conditions of those countries is getting worse and worse and worse. I don't blame them. I would come here too.
Yeah,
if it was getting that bad, like if my government was, if a authoritarian government was taking over my country, taxing me 90%, I'm definitely coming here.
If I was told that I can't provide for my children the way that I want to,
right,
I would do anything. So like, I could understand like, all right, we're out of here, guys. Pack it up. We'll do whatever it takes to get to A and B.
And like Myra and her family, like it took so much effort and so much money to be able to get just a permanent residency in this country because they don't want to be down there anymore. There's no opportunities. There's no money. There's no job opportunities. Like you're struggling day to day to day.
And you could tell they appreciate it, and they work hard.
They work their ass off.
Oh, I guarantee.
Like
we see it.
Like Myra is my hero. I really look up to her.
That's awesome.
Even though she's 5'2". I look up to her.
You should. It's a good role model.
She's inspired me to do better in my life.
So. Well, it's awesome that you say that because I can honestly say that my wife does the same for me.
Absolutely.
Like I am a better person for having her in my life, without a doubt.
And it's okay for a man to admit that.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. All right, so here's my theory. If you're with your partner and they aren't improving you now, and I'm not saying yes manning you. I'm not saying being like, oh no, you should do that, and you should do this, and you should do that, and you could be the king of the world one day. No, you need people that check you. You need someone that has your general and genuine good interest at heart.
Exactly.
And if you're willing to capitulate and work with this person in life, then you both become better people for it.
Right.
And I think that's what good relationships are based off of. Yeah. It's a sacrificial thing.
So I have it instilled in my head after so many years of being with Myra, like as being manager of this place, like she just tells me like if I mess up on something or if I order the wrong thing or if I do something on the sales report wrong, she just says, hey, do better. And she just looks and like I'm just like, okay.
Got it. 10-4.
She's like, hey, you did this wrong, do better. And like I'm like, okay,
Got you.
you're definitely right. And like I have not made the same mistake twice, and I've always improved myself
That's awesome,
because
man.
of her.
Look at you, Myra. I see you. She's over there working the bar right now, so I keep trying to peek over there, see if she's hearing him whisper sweet nothings over here. She's doing a phenomenal job bartending.
And like we're not a romantic couple at all. Like we don't talk to each other like that. Like, oh, I love you, baby, so much.
Sweet whispers.
No, it's just like we get home, we're like, how's work? It's good. All right, you wanna watch a movie? Let's eat some popcorn.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's hang out. That's how me and my wife
It's
are.
like we're just homies.
Chilling, man.
Just homies.
Just
like,
chilling.
You want a beer? Sure.
Sure. Let's hang out. Nothing wrong with that, man. That's a good
And like
relationship.
that's perfect.
That's living life. That's living
I
right
love
there.
it. I love it so much.
How long have you been the manager of the Imperial? How long has the Imperial been open?
Imperial, what's that sign say?
Holy shit.
So we bought the place. We bought the place in 2018 from Milton, Mr. Milton, and his wife.
Got you.
I forgot how long this place sat abandoned, but it was a while. So when we bought the place, it was in ruins. Like it was.
A couple of years at
It
least.
sat abandoned for a while. It was.
Because it was the Moose Lodge?
It was the
prior?
Moose Lodge.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've heard so many different stories about why it went kaput, but so I'm not going to say any of them because I don't know which one's true.
Right.
But when we bought the place, it was awful. It was bad. We had to do a lot of cleaning. It took us 9-10 months to get this place in working order. So it was a lot of work.
I bet.
And we're still making improvements on it.
Oh, I've noticed. I mean, the brick,
yeah.
you know.
So we just put this brick in like a couple months ago. So when we got this place, I was still working at, I forgot which place I was working at the time. It was either Wilson Electric or Granite Sea Steel at the time. And they were like, hey, will you help us? Like, we need a bartender on the weekends. We'll show you how to bartend. I'm like, I already know how to bartend. I used to do it all the
Money.
time. And they're like, will you run it for us on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays? Like, absolutely. No problem. You just tell me when to be here, and I'll be here. So when I would get off work on Thursdays at like 3 or 4 o'clock, I'm in here on 5 o'clock, and I'm here till like midnight working.
Close,
And I'm
yeah.
back up at work, going to my next job. But I believe in their dream of like entrepreneurship and restaurant business. I believed in it, so I stuck with it. And when COVID hit, we had to shut this place down.
Yeah.
And her mom was actually saying like, we're struggling. We gotta do something because we're on the cusp of losing this place. I was like, let's open up as a full-time restaurant. Let me run it. I'm your man. You can trust me with it. I'll be here every single day until you find someone else. That was 4 years ago.
Here I am.
Here I am, and I don't want to leave.
That's awesome.
I love it here.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Like I
Yeah.
said, me and my kids come in after their ball games because my kids.
Dude,
swear.
I love your kids. They're so sweet. They're like, there's where Mr. Andy works. I want some chicken strips.
That's exactly what, dude. We'll drive by here and Cyrus will go, that's Mr. Andy place. He has the best chicken strips, literally verbatim. And I'm like, yeah, we'll go by and get some chicken strips sometime.
I
buddy."
love it, man. Dude,
They enjoy it up here. They like
So-
hanging out.
and I love kids. Like, kids are our future. Like, I love kids so much.
They're very
Like,
important.
Very important. Like, as long as you raise them right and be like, hey, be good to people, like, that's our future.
Where's your next adventure on? Where are you going next? Where are you?
So we were talking today. So Myra turns 30 years old in September.
Is she gonna roast you for saying that out loud?
No, she don't care.
Cool.
She roasted me the year I was turning 30.
Nice.
And I'm already 31, so I'm way past that.
Nice.
That's way in the past now. Even though I might hold a little resentment.
It's okay.
So,
I won't tell nobody.
and I was like, okay, I'll just grow my beard out then and look old. That way you have.
I'll own it. Watch.
So we were thinking about going to Cancun, but we don't want to deal with the passport issue anymore. Myra has 1 more year until she's a full-fledged citizen. So right now she's a permanent resident, and she has like 9 more months until she's full-fledged American.
Awesome.
So she was like, I don't want to do the passport thing because like with her passport and her green card is so much hassle to get through
Oh, I can imagine.
airport security. Like it takes it takes like an hour or two more than what it should be. And
Just
it is
because.
such a pain in the ass.
How long have they been here?
Myra has been here since she was 5, so 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's been
What a
here,
process.
She's been here all her life.
What a process.
Yeah, and she's just now becoming a citizen.
I was about to say we're 9 months away.
Yeah. Her mom's been here the same. She's about to become a citizen at the exact same time.
That's a haul.
Raina as well, her sister. So yeah, it's people are like, oh, it's like we're just letting people in here. They can do what they want. Like it's a process
No, it's
to
not
become
easy.
an American citizen.
It is not easy.
It is so much money. It is so much hassle. It is so much work to become an American citizen. You can't get a job without a social security number unless you work under the table, in
Things you don't
which
think
you're
about.
in which you're only being paid cash.
Yep.
So you won't have a credit score. You can't purchase anything unless for help.
And you kind of look strange showing
I just
up.
don't know where this ideology of it's so easy for immigrants to just come here and just do whatever they want. That's not the case.
It's not the case at all. Anybody I've ever spoken with, it is a nightmare to try to get
It's a
citizenship.
nightmare. It is a nightmare.
That's
And
what I've
I've
heard.
seen her cry because of how hard it is
I can
to
imagine.
become an American citizen. I've seen her shed tears for that stuff.
I feel like it's an exclusives club. Like I won't lie. I feel like we as Americans have a very, and we are open borders. Don't get me wrong. And I'm glad that we have immigration because without it, we wouldn't be what we are as a melting pot. But it does frustrate me, like you said, that people think it's so easy to just, oh, I can get 7 years
Right.
tax free.
And even even as American, even as America is accepting like refugees from Peru as that civil war government debacle is going on down there, they still can't do nothing when they get here. There's nothing they can do.
They can just sit there.
They can go work for a construction company. Maybe they'll pay them under the table a little bit. But
Does the government track these people at all? Do we keep?
yeah, like they're tracked. They have their numbers when they come into the country. The Peruvian refugees that I had to go pick up from the Atlanta airport, they were in a cell. Not in a cell. They weren't in jail or nothing, but they were in immigration customs for 2 months.
Golly.
2 months, as far as like checking their backgrounds, where you're coming from, where you're going. You have to have someone that you got to stay with, and they got to call that person to make sure that they stay with you.
It doesn't. All right. So the things that I've grown up hearing throughout my life, like the Eastern worlds,
Right.
specifically China, if I want to be honest, like it sounds so similar in that I have a friend that's Chinese. He's actually traveling to China in like a month.
Yeah.
But when you land, you have, well, when this was during COVID, so I don't know if this is a current situation. But
No, when we flew to Cuba, nobody's wearing masks anymore at the airports, Atlanta airport, Miami airport. Nobody's wearing masks anymore. Like all that stuff's gone.
it's crazy how quickly we could just shift right
It's
out of a
just-
mentality.
It's gone.
And I wore a mask at points and times, and I didn't wear a mask at other points and times, and the information was so skewed and gray throughout that whole period of time. I will never look at information I'm given the same way again.
Exactly.
It trained me to just be skeptical.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And it's okay. It's okay to accept information that you're given, but it's also very good to do your own research.
Grain of salt, man.
But as you do that own research, you have to have you can't be like only looking at information that affirms your belief.
Information silos is
Right.
what they call it.
You
Yeah.
can't you can't be biased towards that information. So like,
Oh yeah, if you look up why is America bad, you're gonna get all the reasons
right.
why America's bad.
It's- and,
You won't get a
whatever you
counter-argument.
look for, you'll find it. But
True
you
in
have,
all of
you
life.
have to take in all that information, and you have to make your own assessment towards it. But you got to get it from both sides. You got to get it from the angles. You got to get it from the top, the bottom.
That's what makes you a good bartender now, is because you're able to, like, you literally have a filter that you're able to just take people in, like depending
Right.
on the conversation, depending on how their mood is.
I have-
You know how serious to take them, how serious to not take them.
I have so many political views that come through here, and they always ask me,
What do you
what
think?
is your stance?" I'm like, "I will talk with you about whatever you want all day long." I was like, "But I'm not telling you what I believe. I'm not telling you my political stance. I'm not telling you my religion. I'm the bartender.
I'm here just to serve
I
you
am here
drinks.
just to serve you. I will talk with you, and if you make your own assessment about me, that's fine. It's probably wrong."
Right. So many people assume wrong about me as well.
Right. So nobody knows my political stance. I don't have my political party listed on Facebook. Nobody knows what I am.
Yeah, I've never shouted out, we should vote for A, B, C, D.
I don't care.
I think I made some comments about Andrew Yang on Twitter at one point in time when he was coming out with the whole New York.
There's a lot of politicians, Democratic, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party. It doesn't matter. A lot of them have good ideas.
Implementing them seems to be the issue.
Implementing seems to be the issue because you have a Senate, you have a Congress, you have 3 branches of government.
It's almost like the checks and balances have become a checks and balances of their own
Right.
well-being.
So if you think one
Checking their balances,
Right.
is that a good way to put it?
maybe so, but like if you think one person, as like being the president, if you think one person is going to make so much change in America, you're wrong. Absolutely
It takes
wrong.
a-
If you think the president has that much power, then there's something wrong with that. Our
Yes.
president should not have that much power.
Yes.
That's why we have 3 branches of government. That's why we have checks and balances.
And it takes a whole cabinet. It takes a campaign.
And if you want the
It takes-
president to have that much power, then you want a dictatorship.
I was about to say, then you're wanting something other than what we have.
Right.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Um,
Well, what's your favorite thing about being home? Now that you're back.
The food, man. The food in Cuba is so limited on what you can get. So like not gonna lie, my first meal was amazing. It was a giant lobster. It was a giant lobster. It was a side of rice. I think it was like some fruit or vegetables or something. $5.
Money, son.
It was $5, and I ordered 2.
I was about to say,
ordered
let me get 2 of these.
I ordered 2 lobsters, huge lobsters, and it was the most delicious thing I've ever had. But that was only in the beach area that we stayed. There's a lot of seafood.
So limited to where you were.
So limited to where you were. So like when we got to Vinales,
Yeah.
up in the mountains, it was like lamb or pork or chicken.
Away from the sea.
Away from the city.
That's pretty-
And then
that's so cool.
when we got to Havana, that's when all the varieties started coming out. So it was like pizza. It was like I got I forgot what, I had a hamburger one time, but it's not beef. It's a pork patty. So there's no beef. You can't eat beef down there.
Well,
You can't kill cows. So there's no beef. So there's no steak. There's no.
is there reasoning?
I got a
'Cause I
lot.
would
got
have
a lot.
originally
I
said
got a-
religious,
Like I
then
said,
like-
no, it's not. It's not a religion
Because
thing.
I'm pretty sure India you can't.
It's not a religion thing, because they're all Catholic down there.
I was about to say Hinduism. or
Yeah, they're all
whatever
Catholic down there.
Wouldn't be.
So I don't know. I got a lot of different answers. People was like, if you kill a cow, you go to jail, or like there's limited on like how many cows that we have down here. I got a lot of different answers. So I was
Gotcha.
like, I don't know what the real answer is.
We're trying not to overpopulate the livestock on Cuba.
Right. So I saw cows everywhere down there. I saw cows and bulls and
Okay, so there's cows on island.
yeah, there's a lot of cows.
You just
down
don't
there.
eat the cows.
You just don't eat the cows.
Interesting.
And I think it's.
I guess you got to get milk from somewhere.
Right. And so I don't know. I didn't eat a single thing of steak, beef, or stuff like that down there. And chicken was very. We went to so many restaurants, and I think there was like chicken on the menu at like 2 or 3 of these places.
Yeah.
So chicken is obviously very scarce as well. Eggs though, hella eggs.
Hella eggs.
Hella eggs.
Huevos? No, is that?
Yeah, huevos.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not a native Spanish speaker. I guess every once in a while, and
So
sometimes.
it's huevos, eggs. Maybe you're thinking like frijoles is beans.
Okay.
Frijoles is beans, huevos is eggs.
Got you. Learning. See, that's why we're here,
yeah.
people. We're learning.
Yeah, frijoles also means like nuts.
Damn it. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're eating good now that you're back.
I had a 12-ounce steak with mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese when I got home.
That's awesome, dude.
Because, like, all they have is, like, what beef they give you
Yeah.
and, like, a side of rice.
How about that?
And that's it.
If you could, I'm going to rapid fire you some questions
Sure.
real quick just to knock out some things because I'm not sure exactly how much battery life we have left.
That's fine.
We're still alive, though. I know that for a fact. Quick tidbit, if you're still here, most people don't know, the second half of Chris's podcast when Andy got to hang out with us, it's one of the funniest things that I've done in quite some time, and I doubt that it'll get cleared to air because of, honestly, the things that we spoke about. But
I don't remember.
dude, we had so much fun. But
Now you're scaring me.
it literally ended with us running out of film, and I had to take my phone out of my pocket and
Oh, yeah, I
record.
do remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So I don't want us to have a dead end. That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Right.
So I'm going to rapid fire some questions.
Okay.
I'm going to knock out like a little outro kind of deal for
Absolutely.
everybody that's hanging out, and then we'll see where we're at.
Sure.
If you could project like your next 5 years with Imperial, do y'all have plans?
Absolutely. So with Imperial, we want to establish a giant pool hall upstairs. So we want 8 or 10 pool tables upstairs. So that way we can have constant flow of money. We want to take out the slot machines out of the back, and we're putting it in game room.
Yes.
So that way people can come in and play Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. Because I'm a 90s kid. I grew up on the arcades.
Yes, dude.
So I want an arcade in the back. Pool tables upstairs, like 8 to 10 pool tables. A full bar down here. Bar upstairs, but only serving like beer and bottles.
Yeah.
So like no liquor upstairs. All liquor's gonna be down here, but you'll be able to get your beer upstairs, play some pool.
Dude, that is genius.
Yep.
I hear you.
So like, cause I grew up like, there was so many pool halls in Elberton at one
All the
point.
time.
There was like 2 or 3 as I can remember when I was like younger. There's none now. It's
No.
like we got here and we got the flat tire. They got like a couple pool tables. We got one.
Yeah.
So like I want a giant pool hall upstairs.
It's necessary.
So
I feel
it's
like
coming. It's coming. Like it's in the works. Like that's what we're going to do upstairs. We're going to turn it into a pool hall.
I won't name names because I know a bunch of like just guys that love shooting pool. They go to Athens all the time because
yeah.
there are no pool halls here.
Nowhere Bar is one of my favorites. I don't even know if they're still. I don't even know if they're still there. The Nowhere Bar. It's over there by the Georgia Theater. Not.
No, I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about.
right there on the right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's still there or not.
haven't
I'm
been there in
I'm
years.
too old to go to Athens now, man.
Dude. All right, so you say that. I went to Athens, and this was before I had kids,
Mm-hmm.
probably before I was even married. So we're talking 6-7 years ago. I was maybe 25, somewhere in that ballpark. Walking the street at 25 years old in Athens,
Yeah.
if you don't feel old and you feel like you're in the place, like you're where you're supposed to be,
Right.
you're a little weird. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
because you don't belong there.
No,
That's
not
not
at
where
all.
you're supposed to be.
The last time we went to downtown Athens to hang out at a bar was, I think it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day of 2021,
Yes,
and that's only because we got invited.
yes.
It was not our plans. So it's been 2 years, and I haven't really been wanting to go back because I felt very old.
Yeah, that was me. I was walking down the street with Caroline, and I was like, did I look this young? How did I act so
No,
confident at that age?
I woke up the other day. My back was hurting. I was like, Myra was I was like, what did we do yesterday? She's like, I don't know. I was like, does your back hurt? She's like, no, I'm fine. I was like, well, I feel like I got into a fight with a helicopter or something. Like, just smacked my back like all night, and it just hurts.
That's so funny. So I don't want to get on an old topic. Me, you. Is this recent?
What is that?
Like the back pain?
Oh, it was yesterday.
All right, so today, me, my wife, and a good friend of mine woke up with all the same back pain, and we were like, we didn't all be around each other. We haven't had similar scenarios.
I was like, what did we do?
What did we do? I don't know what's happening. Were we all in Elberton? Shifts. I don't know. Godstones protect us. They're gone now.
That's what kept us immortal.
That's what kept us immortal. Dude, I can't tell you how many times I made that joke. And I don't know if it's just because of the rise of like altitude for Elberton, but there's so many storms that pass over and there's a spot of Elberton that it just doesn't touch.
It's just a black hole right
Because my grandmother always swore that it would never rain on the hill, and they're like a mile and a half from the Guidestones, and it was true. We would sit there and watch it rain in Hartwell, pass around their house, and then rain in Elberton. And I was like, Guidestones, can't do nothing about it.
Yeah. Funny.
Let's see, what else did I want to ask you? We went through Cuba. If you can tell me, craziest bartending experience you've had.
Craziest.
If you can't tell me, second. Give me a close second.
Craziest bartending experience I've had.
Have you had an all-out brawl happen here yet?
No, I've never had a brawl happen here at Imperial for the 4 years we've been here.
Impressive.
The craziest thing I've done, I'll name him. Jeff Haynes, out on the porch, his little debacle with the cops that had someone pulled over at the liquor store next door. He said something to him, and it caused them to come over here. So I was DJing that night. I opened the door, put a brick in front of the door, and I played MWA Fuck the Police.
Sending messages.
I was kind of drunk, and I felt so bad, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And, like, I felt so bad the next day. I was like, I shouldn't have done that. That was like 3 years ago. That was like 3 years ago.
I'm a better person
now. I'm a better person now. I would never do that again. That was so disrespectful, but I did that. I was DJing that night, and I played...
Okay, so as an American, one, it was your right to do things like that, so don't feel too terrible about it. Two, we still love our police officers and our law enforcement.
I have so many friends in law enforcement.
Oh, I missed it.
I was just doing that. The two cops that actually arrested him actually got fired.
They were wrong. Never mind. I don't know.
So they actually got fired. They're not there no more. I don't think so. I don't care.
We don't care. It's okay. We're all friends here.
We're all friends here. I was really drunk. I was having a great time.
It was a funny thing to do.
It was like a spur of the moment drunk thought, and everybody laughed.
And now we get to talk about it on the podcast.
And now we got to talk about it years later
That's beautiful.
on the podcast.
That's beautiful.
But yeah,
the stories we get to tell.
I have so many law enforcement that come here and get food, and they're such the sweetest people I've ever met in my life.
And they're not bad people.
No,
they're just trying to do a job.
Yeah, it was just I just did it because it was funny. Because it's funny when Jeff gets arrested.
We love you, Jeff.
Love you, Jeff.
Love you, buddy. So, all right. So we went through. That's probably a good one. I would say that's probably a good.
Yeah, it was bad. Like that's I'm gonna be honest about that one. I wish I didn't do it, but that was years ago.
It's part of life.
It's gone.
My last episode, I didn't say specific names, but we talked about doing nefarious things, and then people got arrested and all that kind of stuff. So we spoke about that on podcast.
Yeah.
There are going to be stories told here. It's not a place of, you don't have to hide anything.
Yeah.
Let's see, is there anything else? Favorite drink to make?
The liquid marijuana. I make that so many times. It is just stuck in my brain. And so it's like 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. So I can do a 4 count and a 2 count at the same time with these bottles. So I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, lift that one up, still doing that one. So it's really fun to make.
That was bartender math right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I like the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
I felt like I was watching a drummer almost.
So I'm counting with this bottle on the left side of my brain, and I'm counting with this bottle on the right side of my brain. So I'm just 1, 2, lift that one up, still going with that one, 1, 2, back out.
How about that?
Yeah. So it's weird. Bye guys.
Well, I think I'm gonna check and make sure everything's good. I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with me, man. I hope it was everything that we, dialed it up to be coming into it.
I can talk about anything about nothing.
I literally appreciate that folks like you exist in this town and are trying their best to make it a better place.
I'm glad I'm part of this town. I love this town very much. I moved away for 6 years. I came right back because this is where I belong.
10 years gone and came back, and I'm as happy as I've ever been. So as crazy as it sounds.
I did notice that you posted that the other day, like how my perception of this town changed because you posted a memory.
I can't wait to get out
of this town. I think I made the same. I was so wrong, and I'm back here, and I love it here. I love the people that come in here too.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Like, we really do.
I appreciate y'all too.
If you're willing to, I'll probably do this again sometime.
I'm all down for it. I'm always here. You know where to find me.
I know exactly where you find. Where do we find you, Andy Corder?
Right here at Imperial Lounge and Grill, 245 College Avenue, right beside a West Elberton package, across from the Dollar General on the hill. Come see me. I got you drinks. I got you food. Whatever you want. Burgers, steaks, pasta, salads, beer, cocktails, wine. I got it all. So y'all come and see me.
That is the best. You won't hear better plugs on any internet source in the world right now.
I got you the hookup
I'm
on them drinks.
Y'all come out and hang out with us sometime. This has been Social Therapy with Chaz Bray. I'm not even sure what episode it is, but we got Andy Corder here, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye, guys. It was a pleasure hanging out with you. I hope I didn't talk about anything too controversial.
You know what? That's what we're here for, is a real, authentic time. Thank you, Myra, for the drinks. I'm going to continue this one once we get off air.
I didn't get another one.
Ooh, we're going to talk about that too. Andy, appreciate it, man.
See you, man. Thank you so much.
Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace and love. That was fun. Woo. That shit was hot. Appreciate it, man. I like playing music. It's one of my favorite things to do.